Today on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, we are discussing She-Hulk, Episode 1. Hot Hulk Summer is finally here. Episode 1 is called A Normal Amount of Rage. All that and more that we have no control over.
Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
And I'm Jeff Randall.
And in our third chair, for the first time here on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, we have Catherine Ray.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Welcome to the big show.
So excited to be here.
So you mean the smug show?
Yeah, the smug show.
Pretty smug to call yourself the big show.
You don't get a choice with these names.
You don't get.
What did she say? Using it implies agreement?
Yeah, implied adoption.
Implied endorsement.
Endorsement, that's the
Don't
one. Sorry.
lawyer me. Oh, man. Guys, we have seen She-Hulk, and
Some of us have seen it an exorbitant number of times.
Okay, it has been out for, almost a full day. I have seen it 4 times. I rather enjoyed this episode. I mean, partially watched it a few times because I'm a good podcaster and I dive into my work.
Yeah.
But also, I just really enjoyed this episode a lot.
Catherine, we cut you off when you were attempting to introduce yourself. Where do you come to us from?
Oh, God. Facebook, right? I've been a listener. There was a weird period after Infinity War where I think we were all struggling a little bit, and I turned to the internet for help, and I found y'all, and been in the Stranded Panda Facebook chat ever since. After Darks were a wonderful thing during lockdown, and now I'm here. It feels like a weird and wonderful achievement.
If memory serves, I don't do a lot of the administrative back-end stuff. My bad. But you've been handling our emails and whatnot, our mass communication for a little bit, right?
I did it for a little while, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She helped us out a bunch with the emails and getting those out for a long time. So thank you for that, Catherine. That was really rad.
My pleasure.
Have we paid her yet?
We have not paid her yet.
It's all volunteer, gentlemen. All volunteer.
It was a very sweet volunteer thing. She actually was very sweet. She wrote me when I was kind of overwhelmed with work and family and all that stuff, and she was like, "Can I do that? That seems like a thing I could do easily and take off your plate." And she did that, and that was very incredibly sweet. So I appreciate that.
Oh,
It's like a regular amount of sweet.
Matt's just not used to people being sweet to him at all.
Yeah, it's
so
proportionate.
Any amount of sweetness is a lot.
Yeah, proportionally sweet. It's like when you haven't had a soda in a while.
Yeah,
you have a diet soda. They taste like a sugar soda.
Right. See, I thought you were just emotionally diabetic.
Yeah, maybe. I'm emotionally a diabetic. Sure. Don't produce emotional insulin or something.
You can't process it when you take it in, so you just have to compartmentalize and box it up. And
right, exactly.
This is a weird analogy.
We're excited that you're here on the show, but let's talk about She-Hulk.
Yes.
We said we'd go a little spoiler free for a minute, so let's do that. What did you think, Catherine? What did you think of the show?
Awesome. One of my favorite premieres in a long time. I have been recently kind of feeling a little bit of Marvel fatigue. I really hate to say it, but there's just been so much content, and it's been a lot recently. And so I was feeling a little just okay, another show, but then I've watched this only twice today, which I know is not enough. No, it honestly felt like a breath of fresh air. It made me laugh out loud. I related to Jennifer in so many different moments. It was awesome. I'm really excited for this show.
That's awesome. That's really great. What about you, Jeff?
I'm trying to find the best way to say things that I feel about this show without being incredibly offensive.
This is the man who can't make an episode about Wonder Woman because of how he'll talk about Gal Gadot.
Exactly. I can't make an episode about Wonder Woman because Gal Gadot is far too attractive.
That's right. I forget that Jeff likes him real bulky and thick, and Jennifer.
Did you see how strong she was? She got more attractive when she became Hulk.
One of our listeners, I believe it was Rowan, wrote me and asked me what we would call this, Like we had all the like late night Lokis and this or that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking Thick Thursday for Jeff.
Ooh. More like Thirsty Thursday.
Thirsty
like,
Thursdays.
My goodness.
Thirsty Thursday's better.
It's
Not
Hot Hulk Summer.
Yeah, Hot Hulk Summer is
It
so
is
good.
absolutely Hot Hulk Summer.
Totally.
It was a ton of fun. It was so great to, like, we got to see in the last show that came out for us, we got to see a super fan that was one of us. And then we got to see, like, basically the opposite of that. It's somebody that's like, I don't want to be a superhero. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
And like, it really just helps to like flesh out the types of people in the world, because there's so many people that are enamored with the superhero culture, and at least that we've seen in the verse. And then there's the people that are like, you know, I want to exploit them, or I want to outdo them in some way, or like be better or whatever. And then this one's just like, I just want to do my job, man. Like, I just want to go be a lawyer. And like, it was so funny to see how real a person she could be, while also having this thing just kind of like sitting in the background, like, oh, is she too mad now? How mad can she get without turning? Like, what's the threshold? It was so much fun.
Matt, what about you?
I think it's a blast. Yeah, I don't know if it was fatigue or what it was. And like, if I think back, like, I was really excited for Miss Marvel when it dropped, and I was really excited for Moon Knight when it dropped. So maybe it's like I just have premiere brain, and I'm like really excited for a new premiere and like all the possibilities of the show. But this just was pleasant in a way. It was so rewatchable. Like, as I said, I watched it 4 times, and I'm like, I'm just having a great time with it every time through. Like, it's just a great time. It's just a great time all around. I love both of them, and I love where it's going. I love the concepts that it's bringing up. Like, it's ethical questions, but it's mostly just silly fun and a great character that made me laugh a lot, and I like it.
Yeah, it's great that they can balance that. They can balance those like ethical questions that do get asked throughout the episode with like, it's just fun to watch them exist. Somehow that balance has been struck.
Yeah.
Let's get into the spoilery section before we have to make more edit points for you.
Yes, for those of you who are listening to this episode and not on the live, sorry if you're on the live and you were hoping for no spoilers during the non-spoiler section, but I kept drifting into spoilers and I had to edit all that out. So we're back to, let's just talk about the episode now. Take my inhibitor armband off, please.
Yeah. Let me run free.
Are you ready, Jeff? You ready to...
Absolutely.
We need a spoiler. We need a really good spoiler this time.
You know what you have to do, Jeff.
I know. I have a responsibility.
Spoiler alert in 3, 2, 1.
Captain America, fuck! I guffawed like so loud whenever that happened.
Yes.
Oh my God, when it rolled credits, I was rolling. That was so good.
One of my favorite jokes from Silicon Valley was the "this guy fucks" thing that they did a lot in Silicon Valley, and like just killed me with that. And like them using that in this, and the like in-universe Captain America thirst, her being like, that ass did not deserve to die a virgin.
The representation I felt in this episode of a woman with student loans who's obsessed with Steve Rogers' ass was just beautiful.
It's a demographic I didn't know that I was a part of.
I gotta tell you, it felt really good.
That's amazing. How did you feel that this just sort of like female representation of the way she feels about anger and all of that? Did that feel accurate to you in the world?
Absolutely accurate. And I also was a little wary that it might feel heavy-handed, but it didn't, at least in this episode. We'll see how many times they kind of retread some of this stuff over the course of the series, but nothing really felt overhanded in this episode. There was the one moment where her and Banner are sitting together and talking, and they're like meditating, and she does the transformation really in control, and she kind of has that little speech about, I'm infinitely better at this than you are. They played a little bit of like sad music over that I kind of caught. And I was like, okay, maybe not the choice I would have made if I was editing that. But also I have to understand that like some people watching this show, this might be like some of the first time that they're hearing some of this discourse, which that means that it has an important part to play, right? And of course, me living as a woman in the world, this is, it's church choir for me. I've heard this 1,000 times. I've lived this stuff. So, but I do think it was great. And also, I know the question that both of you have, and I want to say that I can confirm women's bathrooms are absolutely that welcoming and that helpful and that friendly. I can absolutely 100% confirm that was the right move for her to get into a woman's bathroom.
So good. Okay. So good. I don't know how much you're joking.
I'm absolutely not joking. I have literally given clothing off my back to a stranger in a bathroom.
Yes. That is the experience that I've heard from other women who have had that experience, especially at a bar at night. It's just like women watch out for each other. And I've just heard so many stories about like being in bathrooms, crying in each other's arms of people you've never met and stuff. Like it's a thing that happens. And I love that. It's so sweet.
Yep. You cross that threshold and you're just immediately friends, like best friends, like would do anything for this person. Like, what do you need? Like the whole, like, I need to call my cousin and 4 people offer their cell phones. It's like, yep, that's exactly it.
Yep.
I love it. I love it so much. That is so sweet. And I love seeing it in the episode because I had heard those stories and I was just like watching the episode like, yes, that's so good.
Can confirm.
That's so amazing. Oh man.
I didn't even think about it. Like you were saying, I know this is a question. I didn't know that it was a question. Like I didn't know that I had that question, but it's nice to have it confirmed. I guess I've watched too many other things with women crying in bathrooms, which I don't know, might say a lot about what I watch.
What kind of genre admission is that?
Yeah, I don't know, man. We've already heard about your Hulk proclivities. I don't think we need to learn any more about the kind of content you consume.
It's not just She-Hulk. Like when Peggy got the serum and was,
You were begging for live action Captain Carter, and you got it,
and then we got it. They were like, okay, this one's for you, Sprinkle.
There wasn't enough bicep in that. She was way too covered up.
That's true. But then in this show, woo!
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And then there's Jane Foster. You've had a good year, Jeff.
It's been a great year.
It's not like a good year for like women being like tough and bulky. No, it's just a good year for Jeff. Just a good all around year for Jeff.
This is all for me. Like you all know this, right? This is all for me. I asked for it and they delivered.
They did.
Jeff service. Every female bicep is Jeff service.
There's fan service, and then there's Jeff service, and
there's Jeff service.
Yep. I'm glad you understand me.
I like him thick too. I definitely want to get thrown around by Jennifer just as much as you do. No shame. I was like, I want to be that boulder.
Yeah, right. That's a nice boulder.
Oh, okay. Speaking of Shrek, watch this tie-in. I have a conspiracy theory. Are you ready?
Uh-oh.
All right.
Other green people are coming in?
Y'all remembered that horrific first trailer they released where the CGI was just not good and she looked like Fiona from Shrek.
Right.
Yeah, there were a few tracking issues for sure.
I think they released that trailer with that version of the VFX on purpose so that we would be way happier and way more grateful for the VFX that we have in the actual show.
Interesting. Because I do think there are flaws in the CGI, but they're way better than they were in that trailer.
I kept thinking, like 3 or 4 times during the episode, I thought to myself, oh my God, this CGI is so much better than that trailer. And I think that was on purpose. I think Marvel is very smart, and I think they knew they were taking a chance by doing a lot of CGI main characters in this show. And so I think that they did that on purpose. It's Conspiracy Town, population me, I'm fine with that. That's my
story. Well, no, I think that's really smart. And they are the best. I mean, Marvel specifically is the best in the world at the like playing the game of puppeting the fan base and like guiding us to feel the way we're supposed to feel at certain moments and stuff. And not just in the movies, but in the movies for sure, but then outside those movies and pushing us, kind of corralling us forward. Like, I really think they're really great at that. And it's an important part of that these days. Like, it really is an important part of fandom, because half of our experience of fandom is what we talk about beforehand. And so, yeah, that's smart. That's interesting. Of course, it did get them a lot of like initial hate, but they're also getting a lot of backlash to the hate, because a lot of that hate is being written off as, you know, sexism, just pure sexism. And some of it surely is. There's
also the fact that there are going to be the people that say, like, this trailer looks terrible, the CGI looks terrible, and then other people who may not have watched it if it had just come out like normal, they'll go, oh, I want to see that, because they want that, you know, they want to have that shared, like, oh, let's laugh at this kind of thing. So more people see it than would have seen it otherwise. And then, you know, the next trailer comes out and it looks better, and then it's better and better and better. And then when the show actually comes out, like Catherine said, it does look so much better than that first one. And we can kind of say, like, wow, I'm glad they did such a great job there, even though there were some issues with, like, you know, with the way that two CGI characters interact, or one CGI character interacts with the head of someone and doesn't move any hair on it. Not saying that I'm upset about any of that. Like, there's limitations.
But you notice it.
You notice it, though.
And when it's your two main characters, especially in this episode, although I think Hulk is not going to be a main character moving forward, but when it's your two main characters, you can't help but kind of like notice these things. It's what that uncanny valley, like you're looking for the micro expressions in the faces. You're noticing, the hair moving in certain ways. When Jennifer in human form like hugged Hulk, I noticed like the way that the spaces where they touched looked and it just unfortunately, I mean, for me personally, it just kind of takes me out of it like a little bit. So that's one of the things I was like really nervous about this show for, especially after, again, that trailer, the first one. I was just like, oh no. so there was a genuine sense of relief during this episode that I think they did such a good job at it.
Well, it's nice. I think in the comics, She-Hulk is often just She-Hulk in court too, right? Like, she's in Hulk form the entire comic book often. Isn't that right?
We should get our resident experts, the source pages folks in here for that. Absolutely. I just know I've seen a lot of her in the courtroom fully as She-Hulk. I haven't read a lot of her books though. But it makes me wonder if her resistance to being Hulk in this show is sort of a clever, like, I'm going to be human form as much as possible, and then I'm just going to transform for the fight scenes. You know what I mean?
I'm going to transform when I need to.
Right. And we've seen in trailers and stuff, there will be more transformation than that for other activities that Jeff's excited about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Got some Jeff service on the way, is all I'm saying.
Oh, there's more lawyering?
Yes, I know how much you love your lawyering.
Oh God, man, I eat up a good procedural.
Just some good legalese. It's music to his ears.
Dun dun.
Oh man, I went to bar trivia on last night at a local spot here, and they had a section called She-Hulk, and I was like, whoa! Am I about to crush this? Is this like a Marvel themed round? My team is going to be so happy with me. It wasn't. What they did was they took a bunch of like screenshots of like female-led TV shows, and they colored the women green, and they were like, can you tell us what this TV... So it was like a picture of like Ally McBeal, but they tinted her skin green, and it was like Mariska Hargitay from Law & Order SVU, but they colored her skin, and you had to like name the show or whatever. But so in the intro for that round, they were like, She-Hulk premiered today. And I went up to the guy and I was like, actually, it premieres tomorrow. Just wanted to let you know, just so you get your information right. And he was like, great, thanks. Like, he didn't care at all.
It's so
funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I like the actually that you got to do.
Oh yeah, I was like, I just wanted to let you know, it premieres tomorrow.
Yeah, as a real fan. Oof.
So you were speaking a few minutes ago about the idea of her, you know, where we were talking about the idea that like she has less of a problem controlling her anger, and maybe that's why she can transform in and out of Hulk. I have questions about what they're trying to say, if they're trying to say anything. And it may just be like, this is how they wanted the character to work and they did this. But like, it almost feels like, what is Hulk? I want to know what is Hulk. And this has me wondering about what is Hulk. Like,
I want to know why is Hulk.
When is Hulk?
I'll do you one better.
But like, Hulk as an entity, is he a part? And this is, we've talked about this in the show before. Did Bruce Banner kill Hulk? He says no. He says he integrated his personalities. And there does seem to be a little bit of Hulk in some of Bruce's mannerisms. Sometimes he's a little more petulant than he is, you know, like than actual Bruce Banner is. Like he'll like beat on the ground when he's angry, and like he acts a little more Hulk-ish when he's Smart Hulk. But it just makes me wonder, like, what is Hulk? Like, and it made me think about how like men are taught to sort of like not have emotion. And I'm wondering if like they're saying something with the difference between Hulk and She-Hulk, if they're saying something about the way women are taught to live through their emotions, sort of, and men are taught to sort of suppress them and push them down. And Bruce is a guy with a lot of repressed things, and he's sort of this repressed person, and the Hulk is like the id that is like swimming under the surface, and that's let out by the gamma radiation. I don't know. I just like it made me think about all that stuff, but like there's no clear answer at all.
I mean, Hulk is obviously all of the repressed trauma. And like Jen said it, you know, she said it herself. You know, you can't tell me that you didn't like lose your entire family, you know, have no friends, no relationships, end up on, you know, alone on the beach, dealing with a decade's worth of trauma. Like that's what it is. Like Hulk is that trauma.
Interesting. Well,
kind of compressed into like,
she was saying a little different though,
sentient form.
Hulk is sentient before all that trauma happened, you know, like Hulk is what caused being the hero. The thing she's talking about is all the trauma that's caused by him being a Hulk. So like, that's what she's talking about. I'm not saying that the repressed trauma of whatever might be part of it, but like she's talking about the 10 years of being all alone because he's Hulk, you know?
Maybe.
I've seen it 4 times. Actually, she says no.
I do think in comics, there's a little bit of a backstory that Bruce Banner had. I think it might be a traumatic childhood, and there was a little bit of like, I don't know if it was split personality per se, but there was definitely like a repressed part.
Oh, yeah.
And then when the Gamma incident happened, that became Hulk.
Right.
So,
okay.
but that we have not done that in the MCU.
Sure,
we have not had that kind of explanation or anything in the MCU. And honestly, like, because it's still owned by Universal, like, this may be the most kind of Hulk we're gonna get, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It
really probably is. Until they buy Universal too.
I mean, that's inevitable.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
The inevitable, like, sliding and merging of all things.
Marvel, I would like for you to buy Universal next.
Just put it out into the universe.
Yeah, you have given me Captain Carter, She-Hulk, thank you.
That is the next Jeff service.
I would like Universal to be purchased.
Don't take Universal, just take the Hulk back.
Okay, yeah, just take the Hulk back.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it, the Dark Universe that went nowhere with, like, the Invisible Man and the Mummy and all that stuff. Yeah. Like they could make that better.
Let's leave those alone. We don't have to touch.
They could make that better.
Mm-hmm. So there's a few other lines that like about the Hulk, and I know like I feel like I want to get on to talking about just her because she's such an interesting character. I love her, but like he says this thing. He says, "Denying half your being is no way to live. Trust me," which is another like. There's just all these intriguing lines about like who the Hulk is, and like. I want to know more about the integration between them, and I don't know that we're ever going to get it. But I was super interested in all that stuff this episode.
I think we've got an opportunity though with Moon Knight having just come out, and like that idea of DID and the separation of self, you know, especially within the same person. Like with that being so prevalent from Moon Knight. I think that they might be able to start to address that in some way, or ask that question, maybe answer the question that that you're asking now for Bruce Banner.
Hope so. I also liked his line. He said, "When people start seeing you as a monster, that never goes away." And I think like it's interesting because that has gone away. We saw him at the diner in Endgame, and the kids ran up to him to take pictures. Like that, the fact that people see him as a monster has gone away, but the effect on his own self has not gone away, I think is what they're getting at.
Yeah.
And also that ties into, he used to have these moments of uncontrollable rage as the Hulk, and we've already seen that Jennifer doesn't have those.
Yeah.
That she's always, she was only not herself, the first 2 times she transitioned, right? And then even then that second time, like a minute in, or not even a minute in, she was already in control and talking to him again. And he was like, what?
You're Jen? You're Jen? You have no alter ego?
Why are you talking to me like I'm a wild horse?
I love that line so much.
Stray horse.
Because he actually neighed at her, which was amazing.
Yeah,
he's like, easy girl, easy girl.
I love that he had the Chris Pratt hands from Jurassic World. Like,
yes.
It was like, if I get big and wide, she'll want to stake around where she is.
I can talk to this velociraptor, everybody.
Yeah.
He says, am I jealous? Is that what I'm feeling? Is this jealousy? So good.
Yeah, Smug Hulk gave me a good little belly laugh.
Yeah.
I love that she was like, so I'm just better? Like, I'm different, but in a better way? And he's like,
because I'm better than you? And he was like, different. In a better way?
Yeah.
All right, Smug Hulk. Smart Hulk.
Loved it. Calling
yourself smart is pretty smug. This reminded me so much of really good female-led comedies that I've seen lately. And I mentioned this on the Solo thing too, but there are 2 specifically, and that's Fleabag, especially with the turning to camera, fourth wall breaking. That's a Fleabag thing. But also Working Moms, which is a show I just really, really like. And they just like the quick banter between her and her friend, and she's sort of just always over talking Bruce in this episode and just like getting one over on him at every turn, like verbally. And I love that. I love the really smart, quippy, I don't know, just reminds me so much of those shows, and I love it.
And you can't help but draw, the fourth wall break comparison with her and Deadpool, and especially
Absolutely.
now that Deadpool is in the universe. It's like, are we ever going to get the payoff of the 2 of them, like collectively breaking the fourth wall,
right?
Seeing each other do it and being like, you too, something like that.
I would really, really like that.
How about at the end of the series, like she's talking to camera comes out of a TV, right? And it's just Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool sitting on a couch.
I would
shoveling popcorn into his face.
Love for this to be where they introduce Deadpool. That'd be great. That'd be really great.
And then he turns to camera.
The thing that I love about that too is when she's breaking the fourth wall, she's telling the story of the show. And she's telling the story of the show, but she's also sort of trying to like manifest what the show is. And I love it when she's like, she tells you the whole story, comes back to her, and she says, all right, now I got to go win this case. Lawyer show. Like, she kind of whispers it, like, lawyer show. And she's like proclaiming, like, nope, this is the kind of show it's going to be. And at that point, she doesn't know yet that she's about to be attacked. And she's like, lawyer show. I'm a lawyer. And he said, like, when you're a Hulk, that strange things find you,
Yeah. Strange things come to you.
So based on this episode, or in the credits, I should say, it made it seem like Mark Ruffalo was just an appearance on this one episode.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
It said like guest star or something.
Yeah, special guest star.
I have a feeling we could see him again, but I don't think he's going to be in many. If anything, maybe one more, maybe.
What felt like a one-off was Jamil. But I know she was in the credits and Mark Ruffalo wasn't. So I was like, okay, I think we're going to get less of him and way more of her. I've tried to avoid as many preseason spoilers as possible. So all of this could like be well-known casting news, and I just totally don't know it.
I don't think we knew for sure Bruce wasn't going to be in a lot of it, but that's kind of what we've been speculating. And then like the Jamila thing, she is sort of cast as in this show. She's been talked about. She's been on all the panels and stuff. So like, I'm assuming we're going to get a lot more of her, but it was very strange. There were a few things in this episode, and I think they did a really good job of editing them, but there seemed like they edited some major things in this episode. The Jamila Jamil fight specifically felt so short. Like, so short. Also, the thing about dialectic therapy, they discuss it barely, and then they're referencing it later as if we're supposed to know more about it. Just because I know words really well, I understand what they meant. But, no, I'm just kidding.
Smug Matt.
Smug Matt. But no, like, they start talking about, like, what dialectic... They sort of talk about dialectic therapy, or dialectic... What'd they call it?
Behavioral.
DBT.
Thought you were good with words.
Damn!
I couldn't remember one. I'm not good with memories.
Where's that aloe? I need it.
I was talking with a friend about this yesterday, and I kept making the mistake of saying Jessica Walters instead of Jennifer Walters from Arrested Development.
Yeah.
And my friend, who's a big MCU fan and also an Arrested Development fan, was like, "Oh my god, if that's the dream casting right there, having Jessica Walters as She-Hulk."
Yes.
R.I.P. to a real one. We miss her every day.
For sure. But yeah, they when they reference it later, though, the dialectical behavioral therapy, it felt like there had been conversations that had been cut out about it. Because she says some line about, like, I've done your dialectical behavioral therapy, I've done this. And it's like, no, you sat down and pretended to do yoga for 5 minutes. Like, it felt like there's some scenes that were cut. And, like, I'm sure there were, but it almost...
montage.
Right. But I'm sure... It just felt like
that there was a bunch of each of those things.
Yeah. But they didn't see when you do that, the montage you're talking about, you show like beginning, middle, and end of each thing. Like that's kind of how you have to do that, and generally set to music. Generally, it's like an 80s thing, and there's like glistening muscles, which would have been perfect here. But like the training montage would have made sense, but they didn't really do that. They just showed you like 3 or 4 scenes of her trying and sort of succeeding. And then ignoring, and then trying and succeeding and ignoring. And it wasn't really like set like a montage would be. So it just felt like they had cut a scene or two to me.
I totally hear what you're saying. And it's also a really interesting choice because Disney has total free reign with these things. They're not beholden to making episodes a certain length. They're not beholden to have to fitting in a certain time slot. So it makes me wonder about some of these editing choices. Because I remember like the pacing of this episode felt really like, oh wow, we're gonna do the whole Bruce and Jennifer thing in this one episode. Like we're gonna get through this whole training and talking and relating and this whole family dynamic. We're gonna just get through this, and it was like a half an hour, right? If you don't count the credits and all that.
Yeah, about 31 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And there's a few lines too where like I noticed they were having a conversation and then it cut to the back of Hulk's head and Hulk said something that like wrapped the conversation up. And it felt like there are certain things that they had filmed for this that they either didn't want to do or they changed or they didn't work, which like is very common. They do that all the time, but it was noticeable, which made me think rush job. Like, and I know that I heard some like negatives about this show, and it makes me wonder if they had to do some last minute fixes.
Oh, I wonder. I know critics got 4 episodes, I think.
Oh, yeah?
Ugh.
Interesting.
Lucky. Matt got 4 episodes.
I did. It's always interesting to hear what they get because that's often like the first arc or like it often establishes the show. Like this is clearly not what the show is going to be. This was an origin story. Now we're going to get the show. And so these first 3 will probably be like our first little arc or whatever. Our next 3, I should say. I cannot wait for the next episode. I am so freaking excited. I found myself like really, really just like from my heart excited. Not just like, hey, I'm excited to have new content. I am like so excited for this show. I don't think I've been this excited since like Loki, which is my favorite. So
you were pretty excited at the beginning of Miss Marvel.
Oh, I definitely was.
Because it was so frenetic.
I loved it. I loved Miss Marvel. And I might have even loved that first episode more than I liked this first episode. But somehow I'm more excited for the future of this show for whatever reason. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's because I've seen all of Miss Marvel, and thinking back in my head, I think like I knew from the beginning that Miss Marvel's story wasn't going to be necessarily for me, and I mean from like just being that young and being like sort of a teenager story, and this feels like I don't know. This feels like my age person going through a big change in life. Like, it just feels like things that I will connect with.
It's because she wore the Zeppelin shirt.
Yeah.
Also, they had that line about you're going to need 2 wardrobes, and then she specifically doesn't need 2 wardrobes in the whole rest of the episode. So I'm curious if they're going to touch on that again, or if she's just going to, because all you would need is like a little bit of a give in your business suit, and you could she only tore like one shoulder, everything else was fine, So it's like, we could just get you some again, spandex is your best friend. We can just work your wardrobe the way it is.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that her paralegal was like, shoes. Take shoes off.
The shoes thing was great.
Good idea.
Take the shoes.
Those were no joke. Those were like 3-inch heels on a work day. So if I didn't think she was a badass before, I knew she was in that moment.
Right.
That moment was one of the only other annoying parts to me that felt a little off in tone from the MCU, because when they take the time, when she hides behind the desk, it made sense to me, because she's not used to jumping into danger. That's not what she does. She's a lawyer. But when her friend's like, go help, and she's like, oh, right, I should help. And then she's like, oh, wait, stop for the shoes. It felt a little too jokey when there's literally cops being thrown around by a villain. You know what I mean? It felt a little more like a cartoon world than the sort of more grounded MCU. That one moment. The rest of it didn't. The rest of it felt just as cartoony as it should. But that one moment, I was kind of no. Your civic duty is get in there. Don't worry about your shoes. Just get in there. That one other guy has a spinal cord injury now.
Listen, I don't know why fulfilling my civic duty and keeping my wardrobe intact have to be 2 separate things, Matt. We can do both. Yeah. Women can have both now, Matt.
I'm sorry.
It's 2022, Matt. It's 2022.
Come on. Women can fight crime and have nice shoes. I'm so sorry.
It feels like that whole Jurassic World Bryce Dallas Howard running in heels thing again.
Listen, that was infuriating.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring up trauma.
It's okay. I'm angry all the time. See, it's always just below the surface. You just need the littlest little pinpricks here and there, and I'm furious about stuff.
Oh man,
it's like the balloon, leaking a whole bunch all at once. All of it. It's all of it.
But I really loved it, and I can also echo your sentiment of being really excited for the rest of the season. Yeah,
and I also don't know what the rest of the season is going to be like. I know that it's going to be a lawyer show with little drips of She-Hulk in there, but I don't know what's going to happen. Speaking of the lawyer show thing, I'm very curious how, this show and then by proxy Disney, or if this show and by proxy Disney are going to make any kind of commentary on the criminal justice system. Yeah. I'm really curious if we're going to talk at all about jail, incarceration, over policing. I'm really curious if any of this stuff is going to come up, because obviously they could just not touch on any of this stuff, right? We could just get the same kind of discussions we've got about damage control and what responsibility do powered people have. But I'm curious if even in little side conversations or little bits here and there, we'll get any kind of commentary on something a little bit bigger. Well, one thing that might lead to that is you have the character of Blonsky, who we should meet soon, and we know that he somehow either ends up working with or is working with currently Wong. So, what's that about? Is there some sort of way that he's working towards redemption? Does that lead to him being... well, no, seriously, you could totally see a Suicide Squad type thing, which is basic... Suicide Squad is basically work release. Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. Might be leading toward Thunderbolts, but if Blonsky could be that character, I would love it. I know this, everybody's heard me talk about Blonsky for years, and I'm so excited that he's coming back as Tim Roth. We're getting this has been my dream for the entirety of the time we've been making this show. I have been saying that, and he's finally going to be back in the next couple weeks probably. And that he could be a character that we follow through the redemption of a villain, really see what happens. He's been imprisoned, then he's let out to work with Wong. He proves himself. They let him be in the Thunderbolts. I don't know. That may not be the thing you're talking about with justice system reform, but it could be an interesting take on someone who's in prison, what that does to them, and how you can handle that differently. I don't know. Maybe
I'm
not.
horrifyingly attracted to Tim Roth, and by horrifyingly attracted, I mean I'm horrified that I'm attracted to Tim Roth, but I can't help it. I
don't understand the horrifying part. He's a beautiful man. I don't understand.
I thought I was gonna have like a bromance of like, you understand me. Like I'm horrifyingly attracted to She-Hulk. You get it.
No, yeah, I think what you're saying, Matt, is really, I think that's the low-hanging fruit and the easy way to not rock the boat that they could go with this show, because that's like in universe, that's dealing with superpowered people, and there could be a little bit of commentary about, you're right, about like what incarceration does to someone, but I'm curious if that's what they'll touch on, or if they'll just focus on the like superpowered people doing superpowered crimes and what that looks like.
And we know, we already know that like that. Well, you've avoided trailers, so I don't want to spoil you on something if you don't want to know. But there's something in the trailer about her working on superhero cases, possibly. So like,
oh yeah, that was in that first trailer. That I want you to head up the superhero division or whatever it is,
law division or whatever. So that I don't. But the thing is she going to do that? Is she going to embrace that, or is she going to like push back? Just like she's like, no, I don't want to be a part of this superhero world. Like, but I have a feeling based on the trailers and stuff, like. That's gonna be an ongoing struggle. Like, who is she, and how much is she gonna embrace the other side of herself, and what does that mean for her? Because it means something very different than it meant for Bruce. But I still think that idea of like only embracing half of yourself. Like, there's also the Captain Marvel thing of like keeping your power under wraps, you know, and like. Being scared to use your power, being ashamed to use your power. That's Jan-Rog tried to constantly shame Captain Marvel into not using her power. And maybe there's a little bit of like socialization stopping Jennifer Walters from embracing the fact that she's a powerful Hulk, you know, like she doesn't want to be that. She wants to be a lawyer. And like, what does that mean? Not that being a lawyer isn't also a badass thing. So I don't know. There's a lot of complicated things, and I'm really wondering what they're going to play with in all of that arena.
I saw something in the chat that better be a spoiler. Something about almost naked Daredevil. And now if I don't get that, I'm going to be upset. So that better be a for real spoiler.
I don't know about an almost naked Daredevil. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, there's been rumor about that being in the show, an almost naked Daredevil being in the show. Because, I mean, you know, Matt Murdock and Jennifer Walters, like, they got to bang it out.
They've got some things they got to work out on their own.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They got to hammer out some details.
Just pound those details out, you know?
Yeah. Get, smooth out the wrinkles of their... It might be a working relationship, because I'm betting he comes into the superhero law aspect.
Or he's defending someone and they go up against each other in court. I'd be curious to see that.
Yeah.
Not sexual at all.
Sorry, Jeff and I get a little bicep in us and we just go off the wall. We can't really contain ourselves.
Oh, my goodness. I gotta go work out.
So before we get to the feedback real quick, I did want to say I really love in the car wreck, just the establishment of her character, that when they get in the car wreck, she immediately climbs out and starts trying to save her cousin. I don't know, just something about that, like the hero thing, you know, just being a hero before she has powers. She's trying to be a hero. I always love that.
Yeah, she saved the cat, and the cat was Bruce Banner.
The cat was Bruce Banner.
Did we also catch there was totally a nod to IRL Oscar Isaac with the eating flaming Cheetos with chopsticks? Y'all know there was that picture of him after an award. I think it was like maybe after the Oscars or something. There's a picture of him eating Cheetos out of the bag with chopsticks.
That way you don't get Cheetos fingers.
That way you don't get Cheetos fingers. Yeah.
I did not know that. Someone mentioned it in the chat. Or was it you that mentioned it in the chat? I did not know that was a IRL thing. That's awesome. That's freaking awesome.
That's hilarious. We didn't talk about, though, the reason that I think that Hulk might not be in there as much upcoming is the Sakaar, like the ship from Sakaar that came down. The Sakaran ship came down and was just like, hey, man, want to get on this big-ass spaceship? Like, we didn't see who it was that was on the ship, and Bruce said it was a courier, and they were probably bringing a message, and he's like, I got to go figure out all that later. Like, that was an easy out for him to just be like, I'm actually going to figure out what that is.
Yeah, for sure. So that's a whole different. That was neat. That's just a little thing they threw in, that there's Sakaran ships visiting Earth.
Yeah,
it's neat.
So there's a chance, because of what I remember about the Planet Hulk and World War Hulk series in comics, there's a chance that it could be a message for him about some lineage. We might have more Hulks.
There might be more Hulks abounding.
Well, we know that their family has like whatever genetic combination, because they're cousins and they both have it. So it's like, I was like, oh wait, do y'all have more cousins? Any more siblings going on? How many other people are in your family?
Can we get some more Hulks?
Immediately get on Ancestry and let's figure this out.
What's your 23andMe?
Who else wants a lethal dose of gamma radiation?
Me. I
loved that joke. I thought it felt a little weird, but I really loved it. Lethal?
You mean I'm gonna die?
Wait, I'm not done talking. I wasn't done talking.
There's other stuff I was going to explain. That's not a place to pause.
That was a scene where I feel like his lips didn't exactly match up the tone of the line delivery. And that happened only like maybe 3 times in the episode. But again, it's just, you notice it.
Yeah.
Because faces and talking are we do it all the time. It's like in our DNA to communicate with each other like this. So when they're off even a little bit, you can't help but notice
Uncanny
it.
Valley, man. Uncanny Valley.
There was that moment though. Like there were other moments with Banner Hulk's face, like when he was talking about how DBT is clinical, not spiritual. Like you could see the frustration in his face. Like the CG was so good there that like you could see that he was like, no, it is. Yeah, it's not. It's not like that.
Really good CGI moments, like really, really good.
Yeah, like there were. It's crazy that there were like so many good ones like that. But then, like when he like tousled her hair or like just touched her head or whatever, when she was like, "I have a Hulk-sized hangover," like her hair didn't move at all, and it was weird. I was like, that's unsettling. Which
might also, to be honest, be another reason why we're shipping Hulk off to Sakaar, so we don't have to do too much of the like CGI on CGI.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Spend a lot up front, get Hulk in there, get our hopes, established and get us real excited, and then be like, okay, now he's gone. We can have a lawyer show now.
Yeah.
Lawyer show.
Last thing I have in my notes is I really like the line, "Good time during a hard time."
Oh, good time.
Like that resonates so much. Like that's a great, powerful line. And I feel like I'm going to use that.
Holy shit, guys. That was After Dark.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That was After Dark during lockdown.
For sure, man. Like that was what helped me through a lot of stuff, and we were all going through the COVID year lockdown and all hanging out online, and that really like formed a lot of friendships and stuff. Like, yeah.
Some of the best friends in my life.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
I just had that crushing realization hit me all at once. Like I physically feel that. Good time during. I thought
you were going to say something about how Tony Stark's death is still really affecting you, and I was like, "Oh my god, Jeff, get over it." That was like phase 3.
Yeah, it's so funny. I did too. Yeah, I did not expect it to be so profound. Thank you, Jeff.
There was the mention of Tony, like when Banner was saying, like Tony did always joke that he was just going to come back and as a loner, he's going to come back and take it someday, and then he was just like. The lip smack or the lip click or whatever, like that's all we got is just like, I missed that guy.
Yeah, there was a lot of Hulk missing Tony in this episode, actually.
I mean, it felt like that was the right amount, though.
Yeah. Them,
it's been enough time.
Where they had scrawled into the bar BB and TS, like, that was...
It's so cute.
I will say less of an emotional tug on me and more of like, oh, does this count for fantasy points? Like some people got to be stoked. He's getting a full name mention right here.
Ooh, Tony got a bunch of mentions and an Iron Man helmet built into a piece of driftwood art. Like what is that about? Yeah. I loved it. I need that. Yeah, I need that.
Oh my god, are you high tech / beach house crossover is the worst aesthetic ever.
And I need it.
I would put that in my house tomorrow for sure.
Let's go centerpiece.
Driftwood away from me.
Okay, real quick, let's run through some of these feedbacks. We got Waterfall Angel says, at Screen and Panda TV, Marvel again, knowing we've been analyzing everything and just telling us about Bruce's arm up front. Love it. And I loved the representation of the female perspective with the bar scenes and Jen's talk about anger.
Hell
Absolutely.
yeah, Waterfall Angel.
Hell yeah. And then VB Marvel fan says, at Screen and Panda TV, her not wanting to the superhero title made me think of how the world has been through a bunch of craziness and superheroes, and we get the perspective of someone who has watched it tear the world apart, and she's like, nah, I'm not joining your super secret government group. I just want a normal life. Yeah.
Super secret boy band.
Super secret boy band.
Yeah, she did have that line when she turns toward the camera at the end where she's like, and that was all a few months ago. I don't have to deal with it ever again. So clearly she hadn't turned into the Hulk in like however many months that had been.
Did she say months? I didn't think she said
in the
months.
beginning, she said like that was all a few months ago.
Oh, in the beginning. Okay.
Come on, Matt.
Gotcha.
You watched it 4 times.
I did.
God,
I did watch first.
4 times and you still didn't catch that?
I guess I thought because she's... Never mind. My brain is broken. I was thinking I was having a bad moment with the out of time because I was like, she had that conversation at the beginning and then she has it at the end, but then she left and they were doing the same case. No, she didn't leave. It was a flashback. Sorry. My brain broke for a second. I love out of time storytelling because it's hard on my brain. Makes me think.
It taxes me.
Chris Strong says, at Stranded Panda TV, what do you all think about the Sakaar ship that caused the accident? Grandmaster looking for his champion, or maybe Scar, his son? Question mark.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum. I think that would be the move, right? Give him a son.
Yeah. And because they've already established in Thor Ragnarok that time works differently on Sakaar, he can be of age and just show up and take over.
Yeah. Take over.
Take over being Hulk.
Is that what he does? Take over being Hulk?
I mean, Mark Ruffalo's been doing this a hot minute.
Oh, you mean like provide us a new Hulk to not like take over?
Like pass the torch.
I see. Gotcha.
Like I'm thinking like meta Disney level. I'm playing 5th dimensional Marvel chess here.
Sorry,
Matt.
I can't even figure out what happened in what order in the show. So you're ahead of me. Okay, Drew Grick 2024 says, at Screen and Panda TV, I hope we see Shang-Chi cameo in this series. They're both in LA. Nope. That's where we saw Abomination.
California.
They're both in California. Okay. That's where we saw Abomination and Wong together last time, and Sean and Katie's friend, who they got dinner with at the beginning and end of the movie, is a lawyer. Ooh, what are your nopes, Jeff? What are you noping?
Shang-Chi was not in LA, he was in San Francisco.
That's right.
Abomination and Wong were not seen there. They were seen in the city overseas, I can't remember the name of it, where his sister was running the fight ring.
Right, but the movie was the last time we saw the two of them, I think is what he's saying. So if they're both in this show, it might make sense that it would tie to that movie. I think is what
maybe. Perhaps.
I do think there's some interesting tie-in stuff here. And the fact that like he has his arm hurt. Yeah, I had a whole theory I posted online where I thought maybe the arm we see in Shang-Chi was actually from the car accident. Like maybe his arm was already better by this time. And then we all saw him in a cast and we were assuming it was from, the other thing, but it's just from the car accident, But that did not end up being the case. So it does seem that scene from Shang-Chi does happen before this, right? For sure.
Probably.
Or while he's working on that inhibitor or something.
Yeah, it's got to be because he was trying to heal his arm while he had the inhibitor on.
Right, because for some reason he heals better, not in Hulk form. We
have seen Wong walk through a portal, I think, and in previews for this show. So
yes,
it makes sense that if we're going to get Tim Roth or Abomination, it makes sense that they would come through together or be linked in some way or something.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me, though, that, like, we got all this going on, and, like, we still don't know what that beacon is about. We haven't heard a thing about it. And, like, if they brought in the beacon into She-Hulk, like, if that's the next time we get a mention of the beacon, like, how weird would that be? I feel like that'd just be a weird connection. After we've talked about it being in every movie since then, I have not thought, even for a second, it would be in She-Hulk. the lawyer procedural comedy.
Lawyer show.
The lawyer
show. I don't know that they would do that because, like, well, I can't say that anymore because, like, there was so much talk of, like, from Bruce about how, like, we're two of the only people on the planet that can defend her. And, like, he kept saying, defend Earth, defend the world, defend Earth. And, like, is he talking about alien threats? Is he talking about, like, Thanos type stuff? Is he specifically talking aliens? Like, I don't know. Like, what beacon or what has been called by the beacon? What's coming here? Is She-Hulk going to be the one to defend it? Is that going to happen in this series? That seems ridiculous.
Yeah, it does.
That's not what a hero, or that's not what a lawyer show is about. Like, what are you going to do? Like, try to prosecute the spaceship? Like, what's going on now?
Right. I mean, I don't think this is the last time. He says at the end, he's like...
She moves up into interstellar law. That's where it's at.
Immigration. She's an immigration lawyer.
No.
For space.
No.
The real aliens.
Yeah. She deals, he says at the very end, he's like, what, my door's always open, come back anytime if you change your mind. And I have a feeling there's going to be, like, some, if maybe not this season, maybe it's another season of this show, whatever, but I have a feeling she's going to end up coming back and, like, taking part in avenging somehow, like being a part of that government team, however she can, when they need her, you know?
I think that's totally likely. I hope that this show stays closer to the ground.
I do too.
I hope the Sakaar ship is kind of as cosmic as we get with this show. I want this one on the ground with Daredevil. I want this connecting in the universe more. I'm curious about, like, what kind of legal ramifications we're going to talk about, and if the Sokovia Accords come up at all. And I want that kind of interconnectedness in this show. And then, yeah, totally. She'll join the team when we get Secret Wars, in whenever we're getting that. You know, like, we establish her as a character, we do some cool on the ground work, and then she comes back later when she comes back later.
Yeah. They've shown that if they can build a character we love, like Daredevil and Charlie Cox's version of Daredevil, we want him in everything. You know,
we want him almost naked in everything.
Exactly. Yeah. We want him stark buck naked in every show.
Stark?
I want the Zeus naked laser for Charlie Cox in everything.
I love that for him.
You snapped too hard, Zeus. Daredevil's clothes flew off.
You flicked too hard, damn it.
Okay, we had Jimmy T3 says straight up Panda TV. Be careful with reviews. Some, The Guardian, for example, not pointing any fingers, The Guardian, for example, reviews 4 episodes, but doesn't tell you until the end when you read it. I have accidentally found out things I didn't want to know, thinking I was reading a first episode review. Oh, be careful, guys. So
I hate that.
That is terrible.
That's a minefield.
So don't read reviews unless you don't listen to anyone but us, is what we're saying. Just
you know where to come.
You don't want to go anywhere else. All right, Vermilion1 says, Ask Straight Up Panda TV, the show opens with her talking about power and being responsible with it, like it was the show's thesis statement. I imagine the show is definitely going to delve into the concept, as you've mentioned. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But the question is it going to embrace that concept, or is it going to push against it? And I think that's what's interesting.
Yeah, is she going to buck it? I love, though, that while we get that whole, like, do people in power, be it physical or financial or otherwise, do people in power have a responsibility to do good or to, be ethical, obviously? But there's that question, but then while she's asking that, and like while she's having that monologue, you get the background chatter of a guy, a man telling her, like, it's too wordy. You should smile more. Like, all of those things that women always hear. Like, I felt like that was a really good blend of those things. 'Cause, like, that's establishing the tone of all of it, of, like, the conflict, I guess, of the entire show.
For sure. Absolutely. Being a good person, but also like responding to the fact that like you've been told who you are enough and you want to be who you want to be. And it's like she needs to, if she's going to be a hero, she needs to come to that on her terms and not just what Bruce is saying she has to do, you know?
Yeah. Not what Bruce's binder says to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Guess I've outgrown your binder, cuz.
Jackson Z what the hell says at Stranded Panda TV, did you guys hear about the injury that the villain actor Jamil had while filming? What was? Do you guys know this?
I read the headline. I did not read the article. It was the most clickbaity clickbait I've ever seen.
Okay, tell us the clickbait. What was the clickbait?
What was the clickbait?
She, quote, injured her butthole while filming for this show. And, quote, didn't know you could do that.
I mean, who doesn't know you can injure your butthole? I mean, I feel like we all, like, I'm not saying we've all injured our buttholes. I'm saying, like, it seems like an injurable area, right? Like, none of us are like, it's not an invincible place on the body. It feels like everyone knows
it's protected.
Everyone knows to protect that area. That's all I'm saying. If you didn't, Jamila, I'm sorry. Someone should have taught you that. I hope you didn't hurt your butthole too bad.
Oh, man, there are things to be said about that. I am going to leave it alone.
Yet another thing Jeff is going to leave on the table there. Jamila's butthole. Leave it on the table. Jimmy T3 also says, at Stranded Panda TV, Banner meets Shang-Chi in the post-credits! Exclamation points. It could be.
I mean, I'm never going to say no to more Simu Liu. Any chance I could get to get him on screen in front of me, give it to me, Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that's all the feedback. What, any last thoughts before we go? I know we've gone longer than we intended.
The end credit scene was perfect.
Oh, so perfect.
Everything I've wanted in a post-credit scene. In this age now with Marvel where they're giving us, like, phase calendars for what's coming out. I don't need things teased to me. I want to laugh at the very end of an episode. And this post-credit scene made me cackle. This was absolutely pitch perfect. I loved it.
It's a really interesting point that you make about the idea that, like, they've changed how they're releasing this stuff. Like, before, when we saw something happen in a post-credit sequence, it actually, like, when we saw Thanos for the first time at the end of Avengers, we were like, oh, they're doing that. Like, our minds were blown. And now we always know what's coming. So when something like that happens, it's like, oh, what is this even? Like, we know. Like, yeah, we know that's coming. Like, just go ahead and tell us. And these days, they just mostly do, like, cryptic things or jokes, which is, I guess, the move. But,
or they do the joke that is sort of a meta commentary of, like, go home.
Yeah, they've done that a few times.
Although I will say the one that they did with Captain America was just so great.
Yeah.
It's like, so you messed up. That one was great.
It was.
The Bruce Campbell one of like, oh, it's finally over. Like, nah, I could have done without that. That was a little too goofy.
I didn't mind that one.
I didn't mind it, but it was definitely goofy.
It was fine. It was a little too goofy.
But nothing will ever beat this one. This was absolutely top notch.
Oh yeah,
end credit scene.
I think you're absolutely right.
Because like she's one of us. You know, in that moment, she's one of us. That Captain America.
It's so good. It's just so good, guys. Like, it really is like a perfect joke at the end of the show. Like, the show was funny. I enjoyed it, but that joke left me like in stitches. I absolutely loved it. So good. All right. Well, guys, that's about it for us. Catherine Ray, thank you for being here, my friend.
Thanks so much for having me, you two. This was a real pleasure.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you every Thursday night for the next few weeks, or most of them, or whatever. Like, it's going to be great.
As much as you're available.
Yeah, I can't wait. I just can't wait. I can't wait for more She-Hulk. Can't wait to talk to you guys about it. And I guess we'll be back soon, guys. Peace.
Until next time, true believers.
Captain America!
Thank you for joining us for the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, available everywhere you get podcasts, and now a video version streaming live on twitch.tv/strandedpandatv and available at youtube.com/strandedpanda. And if you'd like to learn more about all of our other podcasts, geeky projects, and ways to support the network, visit strandedpanda.com.